Stone Cold Steve Austin, the driving force of the World Wrestling Federation during the Attitude Era and the man that led the company to victory in the Monday Night Wars. On the other side, you have Hollywood Hulk Hogan, the turncoat former face of the WWF, who was the catalyst for World Championship Wrestling to overtake their rivals, following his shock heel turn to lead the New World Order. But what would happen if these two men swapped places? In today's video, we'll be using brand new wrestling management game TEW IX to place Steve Austin as the top heel in WCW and in the leading position of the NWO, whilst Hollywood Hogan's newfound dark side replaces Stone Cold as the top rebel babyface in the WWF. Starting in the summer of 1996, shortly after the birth of Austin 316 and the New World Order, we'll simulate several years into the future, tracking the success of both men's careers individually, as well as seeing which company comes out on top. So as you can see then, we have put Hulk Hogan in the WWF on an exclusive written contract for 5 years, and we've done the same for Steve Austin in the WCW. As it stands, if we take a look at the companies themselves, Steve Austin doesn't even make it into the top 5 most popular wrestlers on the roster at this point, with it important to remember that one of the reasons Austin was given a chance to shine as the top babyface was because of a lot of the main event talent moved to WCW. So with that glass ceiling in place, it'll be interesting to see if he can reach the same heights. That is not the case though for Hulk Hogan, as he's very much in the top 5 alongside the likes of Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, The Undertaker and Sid Vicious. In terms of the wider world, Hulk Hogan is still considered the most popular wrestler in the world at this point, as you can see him there at number 1 in the most popular list, while Steve Austin still hasn't hit the heights that he does reach, currently sitting at number 28. He has 70 popularity across the board in America, opposed to Hogan's 95. So, as I say, will Austin be able to reach the same heights that he reached in WWF without that glass ceiling in place? Let's see how it plays out then, and let's get to the end of 1997 and see how both men are getting on. So here we are then on January 1st, 1998, as we're probably about to enter the peak of the Attitude Era right now. But as we can see so far, neither man has managed to pick up the Male Wrestler of the Year, as that's gone to Bret Hart. But where do they land in this year's Power 500? So it's the Hart brothers making up the top 2 with Bret and Owen. Hulk Hogan has managed to come in at number 9 there, while Steve Austin, it appears, is nowhere to be seen, at least not in the top half. And there he is, actually, number 13. Number 13, average ratings across the board is 87 for in-ring, whilst Hogan has been pulling off 85. So you could say that Austin was robbed there a little bit in terms of the in-ring ability rankings, but how about the most popular then? So at the start, Hogan was number 1 and Steve Austin is still 18th, and I think that's where he was at the start as well. And Steve Austin is still down in 18th, although that is 10 places higher than the year before, reaching in some regions the heights of 85, 86 there in the Mid-South. So it's very clear that Austin is still getting over despite being moved to WCW, but still hasn't reached the heights of Hogan, who appears to still be going up in popularity, being 97 in some regions. So let's see if either of them have picked up gold yet, and it appears that Hulk Hogan has not won the WWF World Heavyweight title at this point at the start of 1998. Let's see if Steve Austin's managed to pick up the big gold over in WCW, and he is the reigning WCW World Heavyweight Champion, and it looks like that's the first belt he's picked up since returning to the company. So he won it in December 1997. So let's go to the profile of the belt itself to see the lineage and how it's played out. So World Championship Wrestling titles, WCW World Heavyweight. So at the start of the save, the Giant had the belt, then Scott Hall won it, being the first NWO member to win the title. Sting then won it from him, and on behalf of the New World Order, Stone Cold Steve Austin won it back. All is going well for the Texas Rattlesnake down south, but up north things aren't going so well for Hollywood Hulk Hogan, with him yet to pick up any championship gold at all, not even the Intercontinental title. But as we can see here, Hogan is very much in the top 5 of the WWF, and Steve Austin still hasn't broken into the top 5 of WCW despite holding the gold. But we'll see how that plays out going forward as we simulate again another year to the start of 1999 to see if Hollywood can take the gold and if the Rattlesnake can keep hold of it. So once again, neither man have managed to pick up the Wrestler of the Year, with this time it going to somebody. Owen Hart is in at number 2, Bret Hart is in at number 3, so the Hart brothers very much still in the mix there at the top of the rankings. Hogan is down from 9th into 17th place, with Steve Austin overtaking him, sitting in at number 9, up from 13 last time around. He's even overtaken Sting, the face of WCW, although he is still behind fellow WCW members Ric Flair, Rey Mysterio Jr., with the top 5 being members of the WWF roster. In terms of most popular then, Hogan has actually dropped down to number 6 across the world, with The Undertaker now being the top man, with Steve Austin going up to number 10 at this point. What if we do only USA? Steve Austin is only 2 places behind Hogan, with Austin having 90s, 91s, 92s across the board, whilst Hogan has fallen down to 92s and 91s, so they're very much on par at this point. And you can see that here in the track progress for Austin, with his numbers getting higher and higher, whilst Hogan's continue to fall. For titles then, is Hulk Hogan yet a WWF champion? And it doesn't look like he is. We'll actually look at this through the companies. So we'll go here, WWF World Heavyweight, Mankind the reigning champion. Not one reign for Hulk Hogan as of yet. At the start of the save, it was Shawn Michaels as champion, then Bret Hart, Owen Hart, Shawn Michaels and Chris Benoit. And on the WCW side of things, the WCW World Heavyweight Champion is Warrior, after Stone Cold dropped it to him originally before Eddie Guerrero picked it up, which is surprising there, especially in 1998, and WCW's philosophy towards him as a cruiserweight, and they didn't really see him in that main event light. But Warrior has once again picked it up, now being a 2-time champion. In terms of where the companies lie, WWF are still number 1, with both companies being huge. WCW in at number 2, All Japan in at number 3, and New Japan in at number 4. But as of yet, it doesn't seem like WCW have managed to overtake their rivals. They've got 84 across the board in the USA, whilst WWF have 94, so there's still a ways to go for them, and WWF stock has been rising over the past while, whilst WCW seem to have flatlined somewhat, ranging between 83s and 85s, before dropping down to 84, 83, and now 84 once again. Whilst it looks like Austin's run has been better so far for him personally, he is yet to take WCW to the heights of the WWF at this point. But he's won more gold, he seems to be getting more popular, whilst WWF are growing on the backs of the likes of Shawn Michaels, The Undertaker and the Hart brothers. But this time we're going to simulate 2 more years to the start of 2001, just around the time that WCW closed down, to see how things look for the final time. And as you can see then, Steve Austin is the year 2000 Male Wrestler of the Year, sitting at the tippy top of the Power 500. As for Hogan, all the way down to 20 this time, down from 13 the year prior. As for Austin, he was number 4, and now he's number 1, that being 4th in the year that we skipped over. Let's check most popular then, and Steve Austin is now the 5th most popular wrestler in the world, 93s across the board in the USA, whilst Mick Foley is at number 1 with 99s and 97s, as well as a couple of 98s there. Let's put it down to just USA, and as we can see, Steve Austin is there at number 2 at this point, just behind his friend Mick Foley. But unfortunately for Hogan, it has been a big drop off, with him falling out of the top 10, with him having some 87s, 89s and 88s. So this WWF run has not been good for Hogan, and he certainly hasn't been the replacement for Stone Cold Steve Austin during the Attitude Era, to say the least. It seems that at this point, even in the early 90s, WWF had lost hope in Hogan as the future of their company, and to that point you can actually see that here, where where it says being gradually phased out due to age. And it also seems that he's turned heel, so he's no longer the rebel babyface that we positioned him as at the start, whilst Austin was a rising star still. But with that said, WCW also fired Austin, so yeah, interesting dynamic though, and Steve Austin is very much the man at this point. But how's it been going for gold for both men? So first we're going to check the WCW World Heavyweight title to see if Steve Austin's managed to pick it up yet again, and he has managed to win it in November 1999, holding it until March 2000. That's his second reign as champion. If we look here, it seems like he won the WCW World War III Battle Royal, but he hasn't picked up the television title or the United States, only those two reigns with big gold. But still, that's very respectable there. But how about for Hogan then? So if we go to titles, is he the reigning WWF World Heavyweight Champion? And he's not. It's Diesel. Looking very different there is Big Kev. That is very interesting because it seems that Nash has left WCW and has joined WWF once again. So with that said, it seems that the NWO is no more in the stables section, with the Dungeon of Doom being the only stable left standing in World Championship Wrestling, and it looks like Austin is now on his own. So before we go, let's check Hollywood's individual honors then, and it looks like he has not won anything, not even a Battle Royal, not a Royal Rumble, not an Intercontinental title, not a tag title. He's done pretty much nothing. Has he even main evented WrestleMania at this point? WrestleMania 13 was main evented by Shawn Michaels and Vader. WrestleMania 14 was main evented by Michaels and Benoit. WrestleMania 15 was main evented by Owen Hart and Mankind. And WrestleMania 16 was main evented by The Undertaker and Shawn Michaels. So with all that said, it seems that Vince McMahon has still lost hope in Hulk Hogan as his top babyface and was unwilling to put him in that position once again, despite finding his new groove as Hollywood, while Steve Austin has managed to establish himself as a main eventer in WCW. Although it's worth noting that WCW has not grown to the heights of WWF, with the likes of Shawn Michaels, Owen Hart, The Undertaker, Mankind, and even Razor Ramon, another move back to WWF from WCW, two members of the founding NWO returning. But it goes without saying that the winner of this video is Male Wrestler of the Year 2000 and two-time WCW World Heavyweight Champion Stone Cold Steve Austin. But if you've enjoyed this video and want to see more like it, make sure you drop a like down below, and if we hit 100 likes I'll do another one, and let me know what ideas you have as well. But until next time, peace.